Hey there, it's Kat and this is Brews and Reviews. So today I'm going to be bringing you guys my October wrap-up, and I read a lot of books in October, and that's mostly because of the Get Graphic With It readathon that I co-hosted. I read a lot, so I'm not going to ramble, I'm just going to get on with it. So the first book that I read in October is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and this is a book that I've been putting off for so long. It's one of those booktube staples that everyone seems to love and they rave about and they say, oh, it's so, magical, and when you're reading it you can just feel how wonderful the writing is. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to feel that way about it. So I kept putting it off because I didn't really want to be like, I didn't want to have the hype ruin it for me. But then my friend at work, Simone, she just read this book and she was like, oh my god, you need to read it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll read it. And you know what? I did. I really enjoyed it. There is something to be said about the quality of Laini Taylor's writing and the way that she tells the story, and I was like, I really got sucked into it. It's kind of almost lyrical at times, and I just enjoyed everything about it, really. So I'm not actually going to tell you too much about this book, because if you don't already know, then I thought it was quite beneficial to go in not knowing really what it was about and sort of having it uncovered for me as I went. But the story follows Laszlo Strange, a librarian who has spent his life researching this lost city of Weep. And then suddenly some soldiers from Weep come to where he lives, and he gets the opportunity to uncover more of this mysterious city than he ever thought he could have done. And there's a whole lot more that goes on, but I'm not saying anything else than that, because honestly, I just really liked going into it blind, and I hope that everyone else will read this book and enjoy it too, because I definitely did, and I really, really want to read the next one. The next two books that I read are part of the same series, so I'm going to hold them up together and talk about them at the same time, and that is The Lost Hero and Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. These are the first two books in the Heroes of Olympus series. So this is a sequel series to Percy Jackson, which is supposed to be slightly more grown up, although it just feels the same to me. I know everyone's like, oh, it's more YA than it is middle grade, and I'm like, a bit, but not really though. It's got that same vibe, it's that same easiness to read, although I did have some problems with it. I'm kind of scared of what they've done with the original characters, and I had the same problem with both of these books. At the very beginning of these books, for the first 100 pages, I was like, stop, I don't like it. And then when people went on quests and did things, and in this first book particularly, when we abandoned the characters I actually did know already, I was way more happy with it. Trying not to spoil things is so difficult with this because I don't want to spoil anything, but this book focuses a lot more on a different set of gods, let's say, and I'm not as big a fan. I never have been. That's my own thing that I just don't particularly enjoy so much. These are okay, and I think that overall as a series I will enjoy them, because they are enjoyable reads in themselves, but there are things that just sort of jar me and I'm like, it's not quite got the same magic. Maybe that's just me. If I'd read it when I was younger, maybe I'd have been like, wow, this is so cool, I love it just the same, but I don't think I would have done because of the whole thing. Yeah. It's still good. It's still worth reading. I'm going to continue with it, but like the only reason that I didn't read the third book in this series is because I was like, I looked at it and I was like, I know what's going to happen in the beginning of this book, and I'm not there for it, so maybe November. Maybe in November I'll read it and it'll be better and I'll be okay with it, but perhaps not. And the last book that I read outside of the Get Graphic With It readathon was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Yes, this is a reread. I didn't read it that long ago, but I wanted to read it again. And that was because at the end of October I was going to see Leigh Bardugo talk about Ninth House in Liverpool. So I was like, right, okay, I best read this so that I can read Crooked Kingdom, and then just in case there are any spoilers, I won't get spoiled. Well, spoiler alert, I did get fucking spoiled, didn't I? Because I didn't finish Crooked Kingdom, and somebody told me the one thing that I didn't want to know what was going to happen in Crooked Kingdom, and I'm still bitter about it. Yeah. It was a sad state of affairs. I knew it was going to happen. I was like, I need to read Crooked Kingdom before I go, just in case. And then some annoying person said out loud the thing that I knew was going to happen but I didn't know to who, and I'm pissed. So anyway, this is a really good book. Definitely enjoyed this one more the second time around, and I'm looking forward to reading more of the next one even though I know what happens in it. Now we're moving into the books that I read for the Get Graphic With It readathon. Now if you've been on the channel for the last month then you'll know exactly what I read because I vlogged the entire experience, and if you want to go check those out, you know, the videos exist, they're there for you to go and see. So I'm not going to talk too long about these, otherwise this video would be super long. So the aim of the Get Graphic With It readathon was to read comics, graphic novels, manga, basically anything with pictures in, and that's what I did. So yeah, I'm going to talk about these two together because they're part of the same series. That is One Punch Man Volume 7 and One Punch Man Volume 8. Don't know why that's so hard for me to say, but apparently it is. Anyway, Volume 7 is where Season 1 of the TV show wraps up, and that was actually as far as I'd got. So Volume 8 is completely new stuff for me, and I enjoyed it. It was kind of like the fun aftermath of like dealing with the big thing that happened in Volume 7 and the finale of Season 1 of the show. But yeah, it was fun. I liked it. It's parody on superheroes, and yeah, it's fun. Next up we have Mouse by Art Spiegelman. Now this is a story of the Holocaust from the point of view of a survivor, but like the Jews are mice and like the Nazis are cats, and there's like various things like that. Really interesting, super depressing. I was reading it and I was like, wow, okay, this is heavy. And then it just got heavier and heavier, and I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't the most fun read, but I feel like it is a good read and an important read, and I am glad that I finally read it. It just made me kind of sad. So from a kind of depressing sad book to one that made me really happy, and next we have Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. Now this one's been around on BookTube quite a lot. It's about these two friends that work in a pumpkin patch together, and it is their last time at a pumpkin patch. Basically this story revolves around Deja getting Josiah to go after his like crush, pumpkin patch crush that he's had the entire time that it's been there, and they just go around the pumpkin patch and they have fun and they're on this quest, and it's just really cute and made me really happy. Deja is just, I love Deja. I love her so much. She's just so fun and free, and I just love her. If you're after like a fun autumn read, this is absolutely perfect for that, and yeah, it's just cute. Next up I'm going to talk about The Punisher Volume 1. I've never read another Marvel comic, so I don't really know how it compares, but I mean this one was really gory. I know that is like this Max Comics thing is like a violent, gory section of Marvel, so I'm totally there for that because I do like things that are like gory and action-packed, and this pretty much describes this. It is just action and very little meaning behind the motive. You get like straight away the reason why the Punisher is doing what he's doing, and then that's like, yeah, he just carries on doing it and takes out the mob. And it was fun, it was actiony, I enjoyed that. It was just like a solid 3-star middle of the road thing for me. It was like a film that you would turn on that you wouldn't really have to think about that much, which is just like shooting and action and that sort of thing. That was what this felt like to me. But it was still enjoyable. Next up I'm going to talk about The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 1. Now, when I originally picked this one up, I had the synopsis for Volume 2 and did not know what Volume 1 was going to be about. I thought Volume 2 was Volume 1, but I was wrong. Basically, this volume is just a meeting of all of these different famous literary characters, like Mina Harker, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, The Invisible Man, and I was like, yeah, I'm so up for that, that sounds really cool, and then I started reading it. And while I like certain aspects of it, like I enjoyed the meeting of these people and all that, it's kind of racist, it's kind of rapey, and it's kind of sexist, and don't like that, obviously. Obviously not a fan of that. Think that the author was trying to go for the time period and sort of what people would have said at the time, but like, ooh, it's not the best. There is some like actual dodgy raping that no one seems to care about that much. They just treat it as like a, oh yeah, that thing that happened, yeah, well, it's like, no, that man's a rapist, what? Anyway, some dodgy things, which I didn't enjoy, and definitely tempered what could have been a really, really interesting story. So I mean, like, I wouldn't really recommend it. Like, I like the idea, but just think the execution was just not good. Next up, I read Preacher Volume 1. I'm sure you probably know if you've heard about the television series at all. This graphic novel is about a preacher who gets inhabited by a creature of unknown origins. If we're going non-spoilery, unknown origins. And he has some really cool powers as a result. And I won't tell you too much about the other things, but there's a lot of like murdery, death, gross things that happen in it, and there was some foul language that I didn't appreciate, including the N-word. Apart from that, really enjoyed it. Definitely want to check out the series, definitely want to continue with this. I also really love Cassidy. He's just my favourite character. Probably if he wasn't in it, then I would not have liked it anywhere near as much. I probably would have just been like, don't really care. But because of Cassidy, I'm like, yes, I like this. I could continue with this. I enjoyed it, but there are some caveats that I didn't enjoy that much, so what are you gonna do? Then we have Hellboy Volume 1. And I did enjoy this one. I had some prior knowledge of Hellboy from seeing the Ron Perlman film and the latest film, which was so bad, might I add, so bad. And I was like, let me try reading it, because I'm sure Hellboy has more to offer than that film did. Yeah, so this was okay. That's where I'm going with it. I feel like this was extremely establishing. It was starting a lot of different stories off, and it was like, yeah, this will be useful later, this will be useful later, and I just feel like I would have enjoyed it more if there was an actual sort of purpose to it, rather than just sort of establishing Hellboy's origins, which I understand is completely... Oh, my cat's just scared the shit out of me. Right, Coops? You alright? Hi. Hi, little man. Hi. Oh, you're all fluffy. My little fluffy monster has just come in from the outside, so here he is. He's got wet paws and now they're all over me. I appreciate you, little man. Anyway, Hellboy. I feel like this probably could have just been condensed a little bit, and then we could have gone on like a real mission with Hellboy that I would have enjoyed way more. But as it is, it was okay, and I'd definitely continue with it and see how that sort of develops. I think I'd enjoy that more. And now I get to talk about my favourite graphic novel that I read this month, and that is East of West. Okay, so all I needed to know about this was that it's about death, and he rides a robot horse that shoots lasers. That was all I needed to know, but it was so much better than that. It was better than my wildest dreams could imagine. Let's be real, I just needed death as a personified character and it was gonna hook me, because that is like how easy it is to hook me into something. But death was badass, and it's also got like the other three horsemen of the apocalypse who are like children slash teenagers, and they're like horrible and nasty, and I love it. It's just so cool. And there are so many things about this that I love, and I just feel like I've never heard anyone talk about this, and I just want everyone to pick it up and read it because I loved it so much. And I need the next one in my life. Literally, I've been waiting to film this wrap up so that I can give it back to my friend Adam and then get the next one off him, because I'm like, please, I need this series. I need more of the series. I need to read it, and just like, if there's any recommendation you take from me in this wrap up, it's that you should read this one. It's a bit gory though. I mean, if you don't like gory stuff, don't read it. But if you don't mind gory stuff, then definitely check this one out. So last but not least, the final book that I read for the Get Graphic With It readathon was Kitchen Princess, and that is a manga about a girl who's extremely gifted in cooking, and it's just a really cute little story. She goes to this like private academy and she ends up in like the gifted class, and nobody knows why she's there, and it turns out it's because she can cook really well, but everyone's like, oh, what's that? You can just do cooking. And there's some people that don't want her to be there, and it's just, you know, it's cute. It's nothing really taxing till you get to volume 2. Because I read the omnibus and I was like, oh, this is really cute, and then I got to volume 2 and then there's a character with an eating disorder and it's like a major part of the story, and I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. Now personally I've never had an eating disorder, so I can't comment on the representation, but just, you know, trigger warning for eating disorders. If you were thinking, oh, this sounds really cute, I'll go into that story, that is referenced in volume 2. So yeah, I read quite a lot of books during October, which I'm really happy about, especially because I was kind of ill for quite a lot of October and just really tired and a bit run down. So I feel satisfied that I managed to read as much as I did. And yeah, if you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them. And if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!